Welcome to Movie Recap, a channel dedicated to those addicted to movies. Our focus is to showcase the best recap of your favorite flick. Sit back, grab your popcorn, and get ready to be amazed by Terminator 2, Judgment Day. A cyborg, identical to the one who failed to kill Sarah Connor, must now protect her 10-year-old son John from an even more advanced and powerful cyborg. Spoilers ahead. 1995 marks 11 years after Kyle Reese and Sarah Connor destroyed the initial Terminator that was designed to kill Sarah. The year 2029 brings two men to Los Angeles. The first is a Terminator just like the one Sarah first saw, while the second involves an unidentified individual who murders a police officer and disguises himself as the victim. John Connor is currently residing with foster parents as a criminal. His mother has always assured him that he will one day lead the last of the human race to victory over the machine. Because of her experiences, Sarah has undergone a major personal transformation. She is now tougher, more attentive, and more driven than ever to alert humanity to the threat posed by the coming war of the machines. Sarah was previously detained and held at Pescadero State Hospital, a maximum security facility for the criminally insane, after attempting to destroy the headquarters of a computer corporation. In the meantime, John Connor is finally found by the Terminator and the mysterious stranger. John is protected by the Terminator, who also explains what is going on when the police officer is shown to be a machine trying to murder him. He is a Cyberdyne Systems Model 101 that the future John Connor has reprogrammed to serve as his guardian during this period. The T-1000 is an advanced prototype Terminator that Skynet sent back in time to murder John when he was still a toddler. The T-1000 can replicate practically anyone or anything of comparable size because it is built of a mimetic polyalloy, which is simply liquid metal that resembles the element mercury. After impersonating Janelle and calling John on the phone, the T-1000 murders Todd and Janelle Voigt, John's foster parents, as part of its methodical search for him. When the T-800 mimics John's voice, it uncovers the T-1000's deception. The T-800 then informs John that the T-1000 would probably impersonate Sarah and murder her in order to get John. When John hears this revelation and tries to go to tell his mother, the machine grabs him. John desperately tries to release himself while yelling for assistance, alerting two passing strangers. But as soon as he asks to be released, the Terminator immediately frees him. The Terminator bluntly instructs John that obeying the boy is a requirement of the task. When John insults one of the men, he chooses to recklessly utilize his position of power to protect himself. John intervenes when the T-800 is about to kill the man's interfering companion. When John suddenly understands the burden of leading a killing machine, he controls the Terminator more carefully and instructs the T-800 to stop killing humans and help him free his mother. In order to save his mother, John and the Terminator set off. At Pescadero, Sarah has escaped from her prison cell and uses a broom handle to beat Douglas, a dishonest, patient-abusing member of Dr. Silberman's staff, until he is rendered unconscious. She takes his police baton and locks him in her room. She attacks Peter Silberman and an orderly after catching them off guard, knocks the orderly out cold, punches Silberman in the arm, breaking his wrist, and holds him captive while injecting deadly industrial-grade drain cleaner into his neck. By opening all the security doors, she uses him to pressure the other employees to let her go. However, in the other hallway, a different staff member slips past Sarah and releases Dr. Silberman by yanking the syringe from his neck. She knocks down the orderly and rushes past a security checkpoint with two locks, smashing the key in the second barred door to make the chasing staff turn around. After that, she moves to the elevators. The T-800 steps outside as soon as the elevator door finally opens. When Sarah recognizes the same Terminator who had tried to kill her, she is horrified and rushes back, but the crew trips her and tries to restrain her while she resists. Staff personnel are thrown off Sarah by the T-800 just as Dr. Silberman is about to sedate her. The Terminator leans down and tells Dr. Silberman, "Come with me if you want to live," as she stands there motionless and silent. John then tries to jolt Sarah out of her astonishment by informing her that the Terminator is coming to help. When the T-1000 enters the security gate that Sarah had earlier broken the key off in, Dr. Silberman is even more astounded. Sarah and John race for the elevator as Sarah observes the Terminator repel the T-1000. The T-1000 skull is torn apart by the T-800, yet despite this, it reintegrates and rushes aboard the elevator. The T-1000 injures Sarah as it stabs through the elevator ceiling with long-bladed extensions. Sarah joins the T-800 in fending it off. The T-1000 pursues the trio out of the facility and down the highway on foot but is unable to catch up with them when the T-800 blows the hood of their car. The trio then steals a police car from an unaware officer and flees. Sarah later removes the bullets that were left inside the T-800's outer layer of human tissue while the group is hiding out in an auto repair shop in a deleted scene. The T-800 also explains that its CPU, which houses its artificial intelligence and regulates its systems, really has sophisticated learning capabilities, but is preset to read-only mode due to Skynet's suspicion of other machines' intelligence. The T-800 CPU is taken out at Sarah and John's suggestion so it can be reset to read and write and become more intellectually helpful. When the chip is taken out, Sarah, who is still skeptical of the machine, sees an opportunity to destroy the chip in order to render the Terminator useless, but John stops her at the last second by reminding her that they need the chip's assistance. Sarah is hesitant, but she pays attention when John tells her that he'll someday be a strong leader and that his choices will matter. The Terminator is reactivated when she very unwillingly agrees to refrain from destroying the chip. The Terminator warns Sarah about Skynet's destiny as the sentient computer that would exterminate mankind as the group flees south from the metropolis. He informs her that Miles Bennett Dyson, who designed the machine and is entrusted with controlling every armed unit, is portrayed by Joe Morton in the movie. The incident is known by the survivors as Judgment Day. It occurs when Skynet becomes self-aware and its panicked commanders try to shut it down. In response, Skynet launches a nuclear strike against its targets in Russia, knowing the Russian counterattack will kill its foes in the US. At last, Sarah, John, and the Terminator reach the desert ranch of Enrique Salceda, who has stored a stash of weaponry underground in case the war actually breaks out. Sarah intends to cross into Mexico with John in tow. John develops a stronger bond with the Terminator throughout his time at this camp, and the T-800 starts to exhibit increasingly sophisticated and humanized intelligence and behavior as it learns. Sarah thinks about how the T-800 is a fine father figure for John since, despite being a machine, it would never harm him or leave him and would willingly let itself be destroyed in order to defend him. She makes this observation as she watches John teach the Terminator a game. John then imparts his human qualities to the T-800. As Sarah drifts off to sleep, she experiences her usual nightmare in which she imagines herself engaging in playground play with kids. Sarah, her doppelganger, and all the kids perish under the searing heat of the nuclear bomb explosion when it suddenly bursts in the distance. When Sarah awakens, she discovers that she had inscribed the words, "No Fate," onto the table she had been sleeping on. Now Sarah thinks she can stop Skynet from being developed, stop Judgment Day, and stop the coming conflict by killing Dyson. John and the Terminator discover the note she had left on the table after she has left, rapidly ascertain what she is going to do, and then follow her in their car. Sarah tries to shoot Dyson at his home, but she misses when he is diverted from his computer screen by Dyson's son. Sarah enters Dyson's house when she is unable to hit her intended target. He is shot in the shoulder when she pulls out a gun, but she is unwilling to finish him off in front of his family for a crime he hasn't even begun. Dyson is informed of the results of his research when John and the Terminator show up. They then use the T-800 to sever the flesh off Dyson's arm, exposing the cybernetic arm beneath, to demonstrate the validity of their claims. The Connors and the T-800 learn that the robotic arm and CPU of the last T-800 survived the hydraulic press Sarah had used to smash it as Dyson and the team swap stories about Dyson's Skynet project. The original T-800s and Kyle Reese's presence in the past led to the creation of John Connor, just as Skynet's existence was brought about by the first T-800s, which Cyberdyne surreptitiously recovered. When Dyson announces he will stop his studies and leave Cyberdyne the following day, Sarah and the Terminator persuade him that everything relating to his chip design, including the T-800 components, must be destroyed right away so that no one can continue his work and succeed him as the man who created Skynet. The first Terminator's parts are taken from the Cyberdyne systems building by Sarah, John, the Terminator, and Dyson. Security alerts the police, who arrive in force as they prepare explosives to destroy all of Dyson's research. Dyson waits behind to detonate the bomb, but the SWAT team enters the building and shoots Dyson to death. After hearing the alarm and changing into a motorcycle officer, the T-1000 arrives at the scene. With a minigun it had acquired from Salceda's arsenal, the T-800 repels the cops, but the SWAT team nevertheless enters the structure. Sarah, John, and the T-800 flee after a brief battle with the SWAT team and take their van in the process. Dyson, who was seriously hurt during the gunfight, is holding a piece of his prototype processor over the trigger in the lab. The SWAT team retreats after he warns them that he won't be able to prevent detonating the device. Dyson passes away and detonates the device a little while later. The T-1000 is pursuing Sarah, John, and the Terminator in a police helicopter as they flee in the SWAT van. Sarah gets shot through the leg while trying to keep the T-1000 off from the back of the van as the T-800 is operating it, and the van crashes when the helicopter collides with it. They manage to initially dodge the T-1000, who has grabbed a huge tanker truck, by stealing a little pickup truck. The T-800 flips the tanker over after passing the T-1000 on an exit ramp off the highway. It spills its liquid nitrogen load all over the place as it slams into the forge entryway of a steel factory. While stumbling after them, the T-1000 is rendered immobile by the nitrogen. The T-800 shoots it with a rifle because it sees an opening, but the tremendous heat from a nearby cauldron thaws the shards and the machine quickly comes back together. John, Sarah, and the Terminator make their way back into the mill. Due to a bug, the T-1000 must copy numerous of the surfaces it passes as it marches relentlessly after them. The T-1000 finds John after the T-800 orders him and Sarah to find cover, and they engage in a hand-to-hand battle. The T-800 is severely and brutally damaged by the T-1000, which also pins its arm in a massive gear. The T-1000 keeps looking for John. Over her son's objections, Sarah places him on a conveyor belt and approaches the T-1000 head-on. Finally, it holds her down while ordering her to call John back with pointed finger extensions. She declines sternly. The T-800 then reappears and uses a huge metal prying bar to attack the T-1000. As the T-800 struggles back, the T-1000 eventually gains the upper hand and impales it to the deck. John hears his mother calling him in the distance. She appears to be hurt when he discovers her, but before he can get to her, another Sarah emerges from behind her. John notices that the T-1000 is posing as Sarah when the first Sarah appears. Sarah blasts at the T-1000 until she runs out of shotgun ammunition, nearly knocking it into a molten metal vat as John ducks. After using a different power source to reawaken, the T-800 blasts the T-1000 with a grenade launcher, causing it to distort, lose equilibrium, and fall into a molten metal vat. The T-1000 is eventually destroyed as they all watch it flail wildly in the hot steel until it melts. The robotic arm from the original T-800 will melt in the steel. John queries the Terminator. He is informed by the Terminator that it will, and he should also get rid of the processor chip. The T-800 declares that he too must be eliminated in order to stop his own technology from being used to create Skynet after John tosses the first Terminator's arm and chip into the molten metal. He tells Sarah that she must lower him into the steel since he is unable to commit suicide. John begs the Terminator with tears in his eyes not to go, but the Terminator is adamant that it must be done. After apologizing and giving John a fatherly hug, the T-800 walks up to the railing. Finally, Sarah extends a hand in friendliness to the Terminator, who happily accepts it. The Terminator bids the Connors farewell by giving them both a supportive thumbs up as he plunges into the molten steel. John sobs in his mother's arms over the loss of the only father figure he has ever known, while Sarah expresses regretful respect for the Terminator's sacrifice. In a voiceover at the end of the movie, Sarah expresses her renewed optimism for the future. We really hope you enjoyed today's recap of Terminator 2: Judgment Day. Please leave a comment below on what you loved about the movie and why. Be sure to like the video and please don't forget to support our channel by subscribing so you don't miss any amazing content. Until next time, lights, camera, action. We look forward to seeing you in our next video.